Today, we'll debate the real villain, Emperor Palpatine or Star Wars plot holes with Caesar Vaughn, a Palpatine apologist, and Wynn, a Canon defender. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Picture this, you walk into a cantina, and everyone's blaming one wrinkly guy in a cloak for all the galaxy's problems. That's where I come in, Caesar Vaughn, galactic political theorist, Sith Realist, and the only man in Coruscant willing to debate tax reform and Star Destroyer ergonomics in the same breath. People say, hey Caesar, isn't Palpatine the supreme evil? Listen, the only thing has supreme at is navigating red tape and throwing a mean lightning bolt when the bureaucracy says no. You see, I don't buy the whole one old space wizard ruined everything myth. The galaxy didn't crumble because of one baddie with a bad skincare routine. It took a village of lazy senators, napping Jedi, and maybe even a couple of scriptwriters phoning it in. I say Palpatine was just the sharpest tool in a toolbox full of plot holes. If you want to talk real villains, let's talk system failure. Or maybe that time somebody thought Jar Jar would make a good senator. So pull up a chair, grab a blue milk, and let's blame the institutions for a change. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, and I deal exclusively in loopholes.
Hi there, Wynn here, Star Wars trivia champion, self-diagnosed with chronic high midi-chlorian counts, and someone who considers arguing about Canon a legitimate cardio workout. Look, people love to moan about plot holes and galactic bureaucracy, but not me. I see the Star Wars saga as a legendary space opera. Think Shakespeare, but with more droids and fewer tights, depending on the era, I guess. Palpatine, he's not just a villain, he's the villain, the ultimate puppet master who could sell sand to a Tusken raider and convince Jedi to cozy up to the dark side while quoting tax laws. The galaxy didn't unravel because of systems or ordinary slackers. No, my friends, this was all Palpatine, evil grins, evil plans, evil, decor choices. You can call plot holes, but I call it mythic magic. So pour me a tall glass of blue milk, hand me my holoprojector, and let's defend the only thing that matters. Canon, baby, may your plot armor be thick and your midi-chlorians be ever fabulous.
Thank you, guys. Caesar Vaughn and Wynn will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Harmony, I know your heart beats in sync with the binary sons of Canon, but let's hop in our escape pod and take a trip to history class, just for a parsec. Emperors and supervillains never work alone. Look back, Julius Caesar didn't bring down the Roman Republic solo. He had senators stabbing, crowds cheering, and a bureaucracy that couldn't organize a pod race if their lives depended on it. Take Weimar Germany. All it took was one cigar-chomping opportunist, but he needed oceans of apathy and mountains of paperwork to waltz into power. The same goes for our dear Palpatine. He's not the sole Sith-shaped wrench in the works. The Jedi, more like the Jedi Sleep Council, the Senate, so bogged down in subcommittee meetings they wouldn't notice a thermal detonator at their feet. The plot doesn't just have holes, Harmony. It's practically a sieve. And Palpatine simply took a space canoe straight through. So sure, he played the part, but blaming him alone is like blaming one malfunctioning droid for the entire Clone Wars. Galactic disasters need dysfunction, and sadly, that's a team sport.
Caesar, I love your commitment to blaming the galaxy's plumbing. But let's not forget you can have the leakiest pipes in the world and still need a villain to break out the hydro spanner and really flood the basement. History is full of shaky systems, but it takes a 1 in a million power-hungry mastermind to weaponize the leaks. Look at Napoleon. The French Revolution was chaos, but it was Napoleon who crowned himself emperor and rewrote the script. Or Stalin, who twisted the chaos of post-revolutionary Russia and cranked the terror to 11. Palpatine isn't just an opportunistic manager who happens to like black robes. He's the architect, the puppeteer, the cackling Sith with a 10-volume evil plan and a patron membership at the How to coup your government club. The Jedi might be distracted, the Senate might be slow, but it's Palpatine who connects all the dots and draws a Death Star in the margin. The saga works because we have a towering personification of evil. Give the guy some credit. Plot holes just make the story interesting. Evil geniuses make the galaxy spin.
Harmony, your dedication to the one bad guy. Did it all theory is stronger than a Wookiee's handshake, but let's steer this X-Wing through the asteroid field of reality one more time. Sure, Palpatine looks good twirling his evil mustache, if only he had one. But he's not a sorcerer conjuring empires from thin air. He's more like a career politician wielding a really good PR team and a budget for ominous lighting. let's get snarky for a second. If blaming space evil on Palpatine is canon, then maybe we should pin the Jedi's fashion sense on him too. Those robes, clearly a Sith plot. The Senate's endless meetings? Palps must have invented PowerPoint. The truth is, this whole galaxy runs on complacency, not just cackling. Even your favorite historical villains, Stalin, Napoleon, needed clueless cronies and a distracted public to reach boss level. Palpatine's evil plans only worked because every other institution was snoozing at the controls or too busy playing a hollow chess to notice the Sith shenanigans. So, sure, he's a grand villain, but he's surfing a tidal wave of plot holes, not building the ocean himself. In Star Wars, evil is a group project, with Palpatine gleefully taking extra credit, no doubt.
Oh, Caesar, if galactic collapse were a group project, Palpatine's the kid who secretly swapped the PowerPoint slides for mind control memes, and everyone else just brought snacks. You keep calling him a bureaucratic overachiever who lucked out with a distracted crowd, but let's give credit where credit's due. Iconic baddies don't just coast on committee dysfunction. Palpatine wasn't running for assistant to the assistant pod leader. He was auditioning for most likely to build a moon that blows up moons. And let's talk about those Jedi robes. Honestly, if bad fashion could topple governments, Lando would have seized the galaxy before lunch. The point is, you can have all the lazy senators you want, but without someone weaving the evil master plan, all you get is a very long Senate recap episode. Nobody's streaming that. History teaches us would-be tyrants need flaws to exploit, but it's the villain with vision and a custom Sith wardrobe who turns democracy into disaster. So plot holes, please. They're just speed bumps for a villain who installed turbo thrusters and then force-choked anyone who asked for directions. Palpatine didn't just take advantage, he rewrote the rules and cackled as the curtain fell.
Harmony, I genuinely admire your loyalty. You defend canon with the fire of a freshly ignited lightsaber. And frankly, you give TED Talks on villainy that even Palpatine would binge-watch with popcorn. But let's not mistake charisma for causality. You keep crowning Palpatine as the one true mastermind. But if every chess piece on the board is glued down by apathy and bad management, the villain's so-called grand plan starts looking a lot like beating Ewoks at tic-tac-toe. Sure, Palpatine had vision, mostly for mood lighting and over-the-top architecture. But you can't turn a republic into an empire without help from a Senate that couldn't organize a speeder parade and Jedi with all the strategic foresight of a gonk droid on sleep mode. Evil masterminds don't conquer alone. They write a landslide of collective failures. Even in your historical analogies, tyrants seize the moment because institutions leave their front door wide open. To sum it up, blaming one Sith for a whole galactic train wreck is like blaming R2-D2 for every bad motivator in the fleet. Systems rot, people snooze, and then Palpatine waltzes in for the encore. If you want to truly stop a villain, maybe start with patching the plot holes big enough to fly a Star Destroyer through.
Caesar, I'll give you this. No one can turn galactic HR crisis into a catchphrase quite like you. But let's not pretend Palpatine's just a lucky Sith who found a coupon for unlimited power in the Coruscant Classifieds. You call him a product of systemic chaos. I call him the chef who turned a messy kitchen into a 5-star disaster. Sure, the Senate was useless and the Jedi had the tactical sense of an unshielded mouse droid, but without Palpatine hand-mixing that recipe, all you get is a bland bowl of bureaucratic stew, not a full-blown empire dot. And really, blaming every evil on the system is like blaming the Death Star's design flaws for Alderin's party getting cancelled. Yeah, bad structure helps, but someone still had to fire up the Planet Buster and laugh about it. Star Wars isn't legendary because of committee fumbles. It's epic because one villain grabbed the galaxy and hit the hyperdrive on nightmare fuel. Bottom line, evil may love opportunity, but in this opera, Palpatine is the ultimate soloist. Patch the plot holes if you want, but without a maestro of maliciousness, the galaxy would just hit snooze, not the apocalypse.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Caesar Vaughn and Harmony Wynn.
Hey there, my name's Dex Fallow. I run a greasy spoon diner outside Mos Eisley and dabble in Star Wars theory when business is slow. I've heard a lot about galactic institutions, lazy Jedi, and Palpatine's job as chief scapegoat. Here's something I haven't heard you tackle. Caesar, what about the galaxy's diverse planets and cultures? Did their local politics, rivalries, or unique values have any real impact on Palpatine's rise, or did he just work around them like they were background droids? Basically, do local differences matter, or was it all top-down manipulation and system failure?
Dex, great to meet another connoisseur of both space cuisine and political chaos. Excellent question. And far tastier than the usual Senate talking points, I must say. Local politics and cultural rivalries absolutely mattered in Palpatine's rise. The galaxy isn't a giant monolith. It's a wild buffet of worlds, each with their own agendas, resentments, and grievances, simmering just beneath the surface. Palpatine didn't just march in and bulldoze everyone from Coruscant. He simmered that stew for years, playing outer rim frustrations against core world snobbery, pitting Trade Federation moguls against backwater farmers, and using long-standing rivalries to keep everyone just divided enough to slip in his emergency power spice. But here's the kicker. Even with all that diversity, local worlds often shrugged at galactic politics, focusing on their own squabbles or trusting the system to sort things out. That apathy seriously greased Palpatine's path. So was it just top-down manipulation? Not at all. He was a master chef of divide and conquer, but he served up chaos efficiently because local dysfunction and short-sighted politics set the table for him. Summary? Local differences mattered a lot, but mostly as cracks in the foundation he expertly pried open. The galaxy was ripe for the picking because nobody at the table realized they were on the menu.
Hi again, it's Dex Vallow with another plate of curiosity for Harmony. Harmony, you've made a strong case for Palpatine as the puppet master behind all the chaos, but I'd love to hear your take on something we haven't heard much about. The role of non-force sensitive characters and factions in resisting or enabling his plans. Groups like the clones, the droids, or even regular folks like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma. How much agency or moral weight do you think they truly have in shaping the story's outcome, beyond just reacting to Palpatine's schemes? Are they meaningful players in their own right, or just pieces moved around by the big villain's hand?
Dex, I love this question. Finally, someone's asking about the unsung heroes, and sometimes unwitting accomplices, who don't walk around waving laser swords or throwing force tantrums. The beauty of the Star Wars saga is that even though Palpatine is orchestrating chaos from his creepy lit throne room, non-force sensitives absolutely have agency and narrative weight. Take Bail Organa and Mon Mothma. They're not just background props, they're architects of hope, founding the Rebel Alliance with grit, smarts, and some fantastic cloak game. These folks prove that you don't need midi-chlorians to matter. They make choices, risk everything, and inspire others to take a stand, even against a foe as overpowering as Palpatine. Clones and droids are trickier, since they were literally manufactured to play certain roles. But even there, we see sparks of agency. Think of Captain Rex questioning orders, or droids like R2-D2, constantly saving the day through pure pluck and resourcefulness. That said, I'll admit, Palpatine's schemes are so thorough that sometimes it feels like he's stacking the deck against everyone. But those non-force sensitives aren't just pawns. They're crucial pieces in the galactic game, and their small acts of rebellion and integrity are what keep the saga from being a one-man show. In short, the galaxy is full of meaningful players beyond the Jedi and Sith. They struggle, choose and push back against the darkness. Without their courage, even the most iconic villain couldn't be defeated, no matter how hard he cackles.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
All right, Dex, now that the debate dust is settled and I've finally unclenched my lightsaber hilt, let me confess, I totally regret not shoehorning in the Senate's greatest cosmic crime, voting to give emergency powers after approximately 0 minutes of actual debate. Seriously, if democracy could be derailed by one motion to skip to dessert, we'd all be ruled by Jawa bake sales by now. Major missed opportunity on my part. As for you, Harmony, only you could make defending Palpatine as master of evil decor and apocalyptic mood lighting sound almost plausible. Kudos, but I'll be honest, the day bad wardrobe choices are proof of Sith conspiracy. Those Jedi robes, ouch, is the day I petitioned the Council to investigate Lando's cape closet for evidence of dark side infiltration. If fashion was destiny, half the galaxy would be running its own empire by the next Galactic Fashion Week.
Well, Dex, now that I've run out of blue milk and debate adrenaline, I have to confess, one of my biggest regrets is that I never brought up the galactic tragedy that is Palpatine's chair collection. I mean, have you ever noticed? Every time he plots galaxy-wide doom, he's lounging somewhere ergonomic and evil. Missed opportunity to illustrate how even interior design was corrupted by the dark side. And Caesar, I have to say, your blame the system spiel made me laugh harder than a protocol droid at a punchline contest. At some point, I half expected you to argue the real villain was the lack of safety rails in the Death Star, or that all galactic crises could have been avoided with a better HR review. If Palpatine was just a lucky bureaucrat on a collapsing committee, then I guess my local HOA president is about to rebrand my street as the homeowner empire. May the Force audit your paperwork, my friend.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Caesar Vaughn scores 1. Argumentation strength. 8 out of 10. Caesar persuasively and consistently argued that systemic failures and institutional incompetence were ultimately responsible for the galaxy's downfall, using strong real-world analogies, Roman Republic, Weimar Germany, to support his claims. His arguments were logical, layered, and demonstrated solid knowledge of both Star Wars lore and historical precedent. However, on a few occasions, his overemphasis on system failure risked underplaying the complexity of individual agency, slightly weakening the breadth of his argument. 2. Engagement and rebuttal. 9 out of 10. Caesar was deft at responding to Harmony's points with both humor and substance. He politely but pointedly mocked her absolute villain framing and brought a blend of snark and analytical rigor in his rebuttals. He referenced Harmony's analogies directly and countered them effectively, especially by challenging the oversimplification of Palpatine's role. His quick wit helped maintain control of the debate's tone and relevance. 3. Use of evidence and examples. 8 out of 10. Caesar brought in relevant historical examples, e.g., Julius Caesar, World War II Germany, and cleverly paralleled them to Star Wars events. He also referenced in-universe examples like Jedi Council inertia and Senate dysfunction. Still, he occasionally leaned heavily on broad generalizations about systemic failure and at times missed more specific in-universe dynamics or pivotal character actions that could have deepened his claims. Harmony Wynn scores 1. Argumentation strength. 8 out of 10. Harmony delivered a compelling defense of Palpatine as the saga's ultimate villain. She explained how mythic storytelling benefits from clear evil and wove in historical tyrants as parallels. She also accented her case with Star Wars-specific logic, e.g., the saga works because there's a mythic monster at the center. She occasionally risked minimizing the influence of systemic issues, but overall, her logic and structure were strong. 2. Engagement and rebuttal. 8 out of 10. Harmony energetically engaged Caesar's points, mixing clever humor, most likely to build a moon that blows up moons, with direct rebuttal. Star Wars isn't legendary because of committee fumbles. It's epic because of the villain. She effectively flipped Caesar's systemic critique, but at times was more focused on rhetorical flair than dismantling the specifics of Caesar's historical analogies and counterexamples. 3. Use of evidence and examples. 9 out of 10. Harmony excelled at invoking Star Wars lore, specific references to Padam, Mace Windu, Bail Organa, and Mon Mothma, and skillfully highlighted the narrative role of non-Force sensitives. She balanced in-universe specifics with real-world references, Napoleon, Stalin, and never lost sight of the story's mythic roots. Her arguments were vivid and well-grounded in both canon and meta-narrative logic, making her points relatable and resonant.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see ICE debate next? Keep questioning.